Hey, here's 5 things you need to know before you move to Kennesaw, Georgia. Make sure to stay to the end of the video where I'm going to tell you about a super important tip that you need to know about if you're moving to Kennesaw. The first thing is Barrett Parkway. Barrett Parkway is one of the main roads that runs through Kennesaw, but the thing about Barrett is that that's like where all of the commercial spaces are, and that's where all of the restaurants are. Also, Interstate 575 and Interstate 75 are both right off of Barrett Parkway. Also, there's Cobb County International Airport off of Barrett Parkway. So Barrett Parkway is one of the most traffic congested parts of Kennesaw, Georgia. So if you're going to move to Kennesaw, Georgia, make sure that where you decide to live and like where your work will be, consider not having to drive on Barrett Parkway if you're moving to Kennesaw, because Barrett really does suck when it comes to the amount of traffic that's on that road. The next thing you should know about Kennesaw before you move there is like the vibe of Kennesaw, Georgia. It's very close in proximity to the city of Marietta, but overall, Kennesaw kind of has a bit more of like a rural feel than Marietta. It's not rural like the country. It's not rural like way out there where you have neighbors like miles away. But Kennesaw is a little bit of a quieter town than the city of Marietta. Again, Kennesaw and Marietta neighbor each other, but Kennesaw is just a little quieter. There's less commercial spaces. There's less things to do in the city of Kennesaw, except on Barrett Parkway. And that's really one of the main reasons why people move to Kennesaw, is because it's a quieter town than the city of Marietta. Very often, people who move to Kennesaw are like coming from Marietta and they're trying to get away from the busier lifestyle, even though Marietta is not really that busy. It's not like the city of Atlanta, but Kennesaw is certainly quieter than the city of Marietta. Also, size-wise, Kennesaw is much smaller than the city of Marietta. Marietta is like one of the biggest cities in all of Metro Atlanta. Kennesaw is not as big, like area-wise, square miles. Kennesaw is a much smaller town than the city of Marietta. So because of that, there's just not as many things to do in the city of Kennesaw. So many of like the county buildings or the county services are not necessarily located in Kennesaw. They may be located in the city of Marietta, because they're both in Cobb County. As always, if you're thinking about moving to the city of Kennesaw, or you just want to know what it's like to live here, feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you so much to everyone who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. Another thing you should know about before moving to Kennesaw is the home values in Kennesaw. I just looked it up in preparation for this video, and as we're kind of getting more and more into the winter months, the average home values in Kennesaw have just gone a little lower than 400,000. So there's certainly a range of home values in Kennesaw, as low as 300,000 and as high as maybe 800,000 or 900,000. But generally speaking, the average home value in Kennesaw has just dipped under 400,000. As far as Metro Atlanta cities go, that kind of average home value is a great deal. And then another thing you should know is that property taxes in Kennesaw, the due date for property taxes in the city of Kennesaw is October 15th. And then another really important date is for the homestead exemption. The homestead exemption gives the property owner a bit of a discount on their property taxes. And the homestead exemption is due, I believe, the end of April, which is super confusing for a lot of people, including myself. Property taxes are due on October 15th, but the homestead exemption to file for that exemption is due like in the end of April. So if you want to get that discount, be sure to file for that before the end of April. Now, if you happen to buy a home in the city of Kennesaw after that April due date, you can file for the homestead exemption after April as long as you have just purchased a home. But if you've waited a while, the due date is the end of April. Another super important one, if you're going to move to the city of Kennesaw, is that you need to know some of the schools in Kennesaw suck and some of the schools in Kennesaw are very good. So some of the good schools in the city of Kennesaw are Harrison High School, which is a 9 out of 10, Kennesaw Mountain High School, an 8 out of 10, Palmer Middle School is an 8 out of 10. But then, of course, there are some bad schools in the city of Kennesaw, and you may want to be aware of those schools and where they are located if you're thinking about moving to Kennesaw. So we have North Cobb High School, which is a 7 out of 10. Not so good. Bullard Elementary School, which is a 6 out of 10. Also, Big Shanty Elementary School is a 6 out of 10. So some of the schools in Kennesaw are great. Some of the schools in Kennesaw are not very good. So that's really something you definitely want to know about if you're thinking about moving to Kennesaw, Georgia. Something else you should know if you're thinking about moving to the city of Kennesaw are some important places in the city of Kennesaw. For example, Kennesaw Mountain is in Kennesaw, and this is a great place to spend time, hang out. It's a great hike to the top of the mountain. It's about a 1 mile hike, and the view at the top of Kennesaw Mountain is absolutely breathtaking, amazing. Kennesaw Mountain is really a great place to spend time. And then also Kennesaw State University is in Kennesaw. So if you are a college student or if you have children college age, very often people will move to the city so that they can be close to Kennesaw State University. Now, Kennesaw is not really like a college town. It's not by any means a kind of town where they have a younger crowd. Really, many of the residents of Kennesaw are like middle-aged, family range. That's really the kind of demographic that makes up the city of Kennesaw. But it is very convenient that we have a university here in Kennesaw, and it's really a popular school among many people who live in Georgia. Another important place of interest in Kennesaw is the downtown Kennesaw area. Now, downtown Kennesaw is not like Marietta Square or downtown Alpharetta, where they have like a dedicated area as like the city center. Downtown Kennesaw is a little more of like, this is just where a whole bunch of roads kind of came together, and it's in the middle of the city. So let's just call it the downtown area. There's a lot of commercial area spaces around there, downtown Kennesaw. There's also like a bunch of restaurants around there, and a whole bunch of roads kind of come together right there in downtown Kennesaw. So the traffic can be kind of bad around downtown Kennesaw sometimes. But downtown Kennesaw is really the city center for Kennesaw, and it's probably one of the older parts of the city as well. So certainly a lot of history there in downtown Kennesaw. I believe there are a couple museums there in downtown Kennesaw, and that's really where you're going to find some of the best restaurants and the best shopping there in downtown. Also, Cobb County International Airport is in Kennesaw. Now, this airport is not like a popular one where many people go. You're not really going to catch a plane to anywhere in the country from Cobb County International Airport. I don't even know that they have commercial airlines there. It may be all private airlines, or maybe I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments if you know, if you've ever been on a plane there at Cobb County International Airport. But either way, it is a pretty big airport, and there are certainly lots of planes coming in and out of there. So if you're going to move to Kennesaw, you want to be aware of where the runway is. Look at the runway on the map and kind of decide, like, is the home that I'm buying along the flight path of the runway of that airport? Because you don't want to be super close to that flight path. Obviously, you're going to have those plane noises. You're going to have, so certainly something to think about if you're going to move to Kennesaw, Georgia. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. Here's a super important bonus tip. If you're going to be moving to Kennesaw, you need to know that Kennesaw has a very unusual gun law. Some people lately have been asking me about this, and so it's kind of required some explanation. So I thought I would put it in the video. Kennesaw has this gun law that was put into place a long time ago, and it's not really enforced anymore. But essentially, the law states that any head of household in the city of Kennesaw is required to own a gun. I know that sounds super unusual. That's not the typical kind of law that you hear about anywhere in the country. And again, that law is not enforced here in Kennesaw. In fact, I have family who live in Kennesaw, and I don't believe that they own a gun. They've never had a problem with that. And it's really not something that very many people even know about. But it is something that comes up from time to time. Every once in a while, somebody asks, is this really something that is required to live in the city of Kennesaw? And the answer is no, it's not really required to own a gun to live in the city of Kennesaw. But yes, it is a law that was put into place a long time ago that nobody enforces. I know it sounds super unusual, But if you want to know more about the city of Kennesaw and what it's like to live there, feel free to click on this video. I'll see you there.